Today we're going to take a dive into the Mabaso's family reunion. This mini-series is produced by Black Brain Pictures. In this dark comedy, four siblings must come together to bury their deceased mother, coupled with a scheming pastor and a criminal mastermind. What can go wrong? Welcome back to a new video. Super excited to have you all here. I would like to say thank you to the new subscribers. I appreciate you guys and I see you guys. To the returning subscribers, shout out to you guys as well. I would like to also point out that there might be some spoilers ahead, so just keep that in mind, or you can just save this video for later once you've caught up. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. The story starts off with a church scene where Pastor Bizo gets disrupted by a woman who storms into his office, accusing him of some fraudulent behavior. Accompanied by two henchmen, she promises to sort him out, but he manages to escape them through using his sermon as a distraction. The final attempt to get away from these people is through using one of the church members as a human shield. Taking a ride home with this lady, he is in desperate need for her signature. She doesn't make it easy for him, which delays the signing process. And then we are introduced to the eldest daughter, Tuli, who's a nurse at work, and her friend points out a life-changing discovery. So she shares this news with Richard, who is also a doctor at the hospital and someone she's involved with because it concerns him as well. The problem is that he's a married man and his wife works in the same hospital, who is also very close to Tuli. What a mess, right? So he tries by all means to get rid of this proof, going as far as getting her fired. Up next, we find Mbali in her element, a famous actress at work, and this soon comes to an end when a leaked tape implicates the production company she is working for, and to save their wholesome brand, they let her go. The self-proclaimed entrepreneur and eldest brother Becky shuts down a clothing store so that he can cater to his family. But this shopping spree abruptly ends with a declining card due to failure to complete a tender he was responsible for. And lastly, we meet Bongani, who is busy reminiscing about his early days as an international soccer star. But this mood soon changes when his girlfriend Zodwa makes her presence known. It turns out that the lady we saw earlier on is Tuli's mother. Disheartened, she rushes home to share this news with her mother, who points out that she's the only child who checks up on her. Unfortunately, this is where their mother leaves them. Tuli informs the rest of her siblings, who come home to start with the funeral arrangements and to mourn. Now, the money situation escalates as none of them seem to have taken out a cover for their mother. I'm questioning the relationship between their mother and them. Very questionable. Now, the next best thing is Pastor Pito's policy that he took out for her, but it has some glitches because the casket gets sent home way earlier than expected because they cannot afford to keep it at the funeral parlor. To make matters worse, this coffin doesn't even belong to them, but I guess an upside, very weird upside to the situation is that there's some money in that casket. But is it really an upside if that money doesn't even belong to you? But Becky and Mbali are so brave. They're ready to take this money for themselves. They try to justify that maybe it's a blessing from their mother. This was so out of pocket. They're just using this as an excuse to justify them wanting to take that money for themselves. Tuli and Bongani are the only ones who opposes this, and they declare this as bad luck because they don't know where the money comes from. And of course, money doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? It has to be attached to something or someone. And in this case, that someone is Uncle Hush Puppy, who the next day goes to that funeral parlor and turns it upside down. They manage to direct him to the Mabasos. When he gets there, he gives them 24 hours to gather that money because none of them seem to know where the money is. As collateral, he takes Becky's daughter as well as their mother's casket, which they manage to get back. This is where everything just unravels. The comedy in the series doesn't only entertain, but it also sheds light on the social issues at hand. Let's get into the character portrayals. Becky was one of the characters that really elevated the funny moments in this series. His timing is on point. His play on words brings a level of playfulness that balances the series' darker moments. Bongani brought another layer of laughable moments with his clueless nature and his endearing demeanor. It was also exciting to see Bongo Koza in a comedic role. I am used to him in these hard-hitting characters. It was really refreshing to see, and honestly he's also one of the people that was a favorite for me. Truly was played with an assertive flair. She's the glue that tried to keep the family dynamic together while juggling with her own issues, which turned her into this unexpected perpetrator, because she comes across as someone who has her life together as compared to Mbali, who's out there from the get-go, and her character is also portrayed with a sharp wit. When I look into some other elements that really brought the comedy together was also some characters like Zotwa, Martin, Splazo. The cast really did a great job in that. There were moments where we started to see the soft side of Uncle Hush Puppy, and that was also turned into a comedic moment. And then I just want to point out with the pastor, like his willingness to always just find an opportunity for him to cash in somewhere somehow started to become a humorous moment, but it had a very dark meaning to it. All in all, this was great, but the one thing that I just want to point out is that in the third episode, it was a beautiful time for them to emotionally connect, which I couldn't in some instances because I got caught up with all the chaos and everything that happened around them, to a point where when it was time for them to emotionally express themselves, I felt a bit of a disconnect. And it was not even about the performances, it was more about if some things balanced out. For me, I just felt like for Bongani and Becky, it was justified when they had a boiling point, because earlier on it was indicated that they have a squabble going on. But with the sisters, there was not enough information given prior to them actually having this fallout. I felt like it was a bit out of place. Maybe there could have been more depth to that. As we can see from everything, the question here was just your moral compass and how far you are willing to go. I guess you only find out once you find yourself in a certain situation. A lot of the issues that were addressed are really things that we kind of see on an everyday level. That's all I wanted to say, but if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Do let me know what you guys think. If I've missed something, how do you feel about it? And if you haven't catched it, are you willing to catch it? Do let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys in the next video, and it's always a bliss. Cheers for now.